Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. It's Wednesday, December 15th, 2021. I'm Andrew Hansen alongside Omaha Joe Stanton. And as we get ready to kick off week 15 and this Thursday night matchup between the Chiefs and the Chargers, Joe, we got to look back at week 3 because these two teams played and you were there.
I was, up in the nosebleeds, but I was there in Kansas City for this one. So, it doesn't get much better than, it was all planned in advance. Of course, I was going to go to this because I knew of the Thursday Night Football schedule. Just the master plan. But you can't get better than seeing it live. And what a game it was! It was fantastic, real close.
I mean, way to take one for the team to go and scout this matchup out 12 weeks early.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think I saw you at the game. You were that one guy wearing red, right?
Yeah, the one guy wearing red. Yeah, Andrew, it's just dedication. It really is. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah, the sea of red. Must have been an awesome atmosphere.
Oh yeah. It was.
Didn't turn out well for the Chiefs though in the end, as the Chargers won that one 30-24. That was a story of turnovers though. KC was moving the ball; they kept turning it over. Interesting game, kind of sluggish because I watched the tape again. A lot of running, a lot of short passing, and then those turnovers. But two teams still managed to get to 54 total points. The total here on this one's 52. Kansas City favored by 3, even though this one's in LA. And we've got some injury news to talk about on the Kansas City side. So let me hit that to start. We've got Josh Gordon out with COVID. 3 key defenders out for KC this week. Defensive tackle Chris Jones. We've got linebacker Willie Gay and cornerback L'Jarius Sneed. So that's going to come into play for your breakdown. Let's hit the Chargers side too. We've got Eckler, who I'm going to call him probable. He's had limited practices the last couple of days. I guess technically he's questionable. Game time decision. I'm kind of thinking he plays, but we'll get into that on your breakdown as well. And then the left tackle is out for the Chargers. Slater, he's got COVID, or he's on the COVID list. So that could make a difference in that pass blocking situation. But let's start on the KC side here, the favorites. And the matchup I like here the most is the running matchup. Pro Football Focus gives it an 82% run blocking advantage for KC. And back in that week 3 game that you saw, CEH carried it 17 times for 100 yards. He also caught one and took it into the end zone. So I like CEH this week. He didn't have to do too much against Las Vegas on Sunday because they just destroyed them 48-9.
Yeah.
And they were able to get the backups in that second half. So much so that Derek Gore had 11 touches, including 9 carries. So the lead guys didn't have to do too much. So I think they've got more rest than usual for a Thursday night game. So I like CH here, and he's a really good price, Joe. 7,000 on DraftKings, 11,000 on FanDuel. Are you as interested in him as I am?
Absolutely. Yeah, so the Chargers' main weakness is against running backs. They've already allowed 18 scores to the running back position, and really any decent running back backfield has been going for 100 yards. What's interesting about CEH is he's never topped 14 carries this season, minus in week 3 when he had 17 carries against the Chargers for 100 yards, and he even followed it up the next week with 100 yards. So the carry limit kind of, it scares me a little bit because I know Williams is going to be really involved in the backfield as well. So that's another play option as well. But I think you have to attack the Chargers from the running back position. CH is the lead guy. But it seems to me that he has a little bit of a cap on how many carries he's been getting.
Yep. Good points there. And let's be honest here. Every run that CEH gets, or Darrell Williams, that means that it's not a throw for Herbert on the other side. So both of these teams are going to want to establish that running game, keep it out of the other quarterback's hands, keep their own defense on the sidelines resting. So I like CEH here. My favorite pass catcher for KC, I'll just jump right to it. It's a man named Travis Kelce. Like the tight end matchup here against the Chargers, and he was really strong in week 3, caught 7, went over 100 yards. He hasn't been in the end zone in a while. I think he's due.
I agree. Yeah, I absolutely agree. He, what was it, 104 yards on 7 receptions in week 3. I mean, I'm going to reference this all the time. I was there. He looked really, really good. Since then, he's only topped 100 yards once. But I agree with you. I think he repeats here. It's a really good matchup against the Chargers. The wide receiver matchup isn't as great against the Chargers, so that's why I do like Kelsey a lot as well as a pass catcher.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough here for quarterbacks and wide receivers against the Chargers. We know they have a really strong secondary.
Yep.
They did a pretty good job holding down Mahomes and the wide receivers. Mahomes had 2 picks. One of them was kind of a fluke. The other one was at the end of the game, just a bad play. Joe, you probably yelled at him for that one.
What was funny is I remember that day. It was really sticky. It was really hot out. And Tyreek Hill dropped a lot of passes in that game, a lot. And that contributed to one of the interceptions, was a slant to Tyreek Hill that popped up. So, yeah, it was just the weather maybe impacted a little bit just with just the humidity of Kansas City. But you're right. One of those interceptions was kind of a fluke. And, yeah, Hill was dropping there was a lot of dropped passes in that game.
Yeah, there were by multiple guys. I just remember the one from Pringle. That was a deep ball that was 25 yards or so, and he dropped it.
Yeah.
And that leads me to my next point here with these wide receivers. Not as high on them as Kelsey, and they did limit Tyreek to 5 catches on for 56 yards, kept him out of the end zone. So I don't want to pay up for him in my cash lineup, and he's a lot more expensive than Kelsey on DraftKings. He's 11.4. Kelsey's only 8.6.
Yeah.
Those guys are usually a lot closer together on DraftKings.
You're right. Absolutely.
Right. So good.
Yeah, I think for me, I agree with you on DraftKings. It's really easy to stay away from Tyreek Hill. In a cash lineup on FanDuel, I agree with you. I think Kelsey is the safer option that I would like to go with. I think the idea that Tyreek Hill had a lot of drop catches, people are going to look at that week 3 and say, okay, I don't want to go to Tyreek Hill. An injury that in the Chargers backfield who's questionable is Derwin James, the safety, Derwin James. So I actually think if Derwin James is out for this game, because he's one of the best safeties in the NFL, I actually think Tyreek Hill is a very interesting GPP play on FanDuel. And that's given the news of Derwin James. So I'm with you. I'm not really high on the wide receivers, but if that specific situation plays out, I think I might go to Tyreek Hill.
Okay. For the cheaper guys, I do want to talk a little bit more about Hartman and Pringle, because Pringle has been getting more and more snaps. Last week, he had 21 out in the slot, 8 out wide. Hartman only had 7 in the slot and only 5 out wide. He got one more catch than Pringle. They were lightly targeted because, again, it was a blowout. And again, these numbers are courtesy of our friends at PFF. But Pringle's been getting more snaps, and he's cheaper. So I like Pringle better for those 2 reasons. Hartman has big play upside. He doesn't need a ton of touches to pay off his price tag, but that's how I'm approaching it. Again, on the cash lineup is Pringle over Hartman, and also over Demarcus Robinson, who's just not getting targeted very much.
Yeah, I think the exact same thing. I don't think the prices have caught up to the shift in playing time. Hartman was even asked, they were asked, hey, how do you feel about getting less snaps? And he said, as long as we're winning, it's okay with me. So I actually don't necessarily think that trend is going to change. So I completely agree. I would go Pringle over Hartman. Although, like we've been saying, the wide receivers aren't, our favorite place to look.
Right. All right. So then Holmes, of course, it's a tough situation when you think about fading him and Tyreek Hill. But I think you can on FanDuel. I think you can. They've got a lot of big weapons on the other side.
At the start of the year, could you have thought yourself saying that sentence of fading Mahomes to Tyreek Hill?
The words actually just came out of my mouth. It doesn't. I mean, can I take them back?
No, right? It's weird.
Yeah, it's uneasy it's an uneasy feeling to say those words.
Yeah.
All right. Well, any other thoughts here on KC before you take over the Chargers side?
No, I don't think so. I think I'm in the same boat as you with Mahomes and Hill.
Okay.
I think you could play Mahomes, obviously, and I think there's a good chance I do, just because I imagine it's going to be a high-scoring game. I want to have the quarterback options, and it's not like Mahomes has completely lost his gusto, but he's just not the explosive quarterback that he was. It's a different season, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean the cover two that the defenses are throwing at him, and he's starting to just check it down more, and they're running it, and that does limit the upside. He was very efficient last week. I'll end on that. 20 for 24 for 258, 2 scores, no picks. So you like that, but yeah, much better matchup here on the ground.
Yeah, great point. Great point. Awesome. Andrew, before we transition to the Chargers side of the ball, of course, we'd love to mention checking us out at dfscoachtalk.com. That's where you can see a lot of our membership options, from 3-day to 5-day to the full season. 5-day membership, perfect. Jump in with us on Thursday night. You get us through the Monday Night Football game. You get the full Week 15 of NFL for $19. And when you jump in our Discord, we give out full FanDuel lineups, Draftkings clipboard, and full Yahoo lineups. And you get to just chat with us and the rest of the community as well. It's just a great time. So check us out over there at dfscoachtalk.com. When you become a member, you get all sports. And check us out at DFS Coach Talk on Twitter, where you can chat with us over there as well. In front of the paywall. And we like to give some insights and updates over there as well. So, feel free to interact with us over there. Andrew, you got anything else?
No, well said.
Perfect. Great. So we'll dive into the LA Chargers. Like you said, they won that matchup against Week 3. Mike Williams had the 2 touchdown and then the walk-off 2-point conversion to seal the deal. So I'm sure this is something that's been penciled on the Chiefs and Chargers calendar for some time. The Chargers are 1 loss behind the Chiefs for the division. It's a division matchup. So I think both teams are going to play really hard. That goes to the high-scoring game. Before I get into the passing game, I want to start off on the running back side as well. Austin Eckler is questionable for this one. Limited participant. It would have been nice if someone from the coaching staff was, hey, I think he's going to play, or we're hopeful. But you're right. I think he does play. It's just a little bit of a bummer that we haven't gotten a little nudge in that direction. And although the Chiefs are improved on defense, which I'll get to, over the last 3 weeks and the last 5 weeks, they've allowed the 3rd most yards to running backs. And that's just where you attack them. They've given up 11th in the fantasy points allowed, but they're just giving up a lot of yards on the ground. Obviously, Javonte Williams had that big game on Sunday Night Football. Go Broncos. In Week 3, Eckler went 11 for 55 on the ground, 6 for 52 and a touchdown. They were using him a lot in the short passing game. He's gotten 7 touchdowns in the last 5 games. So what I'm trying to say is I think Austin Eckler is a fantastic play on this slate if he plays. Andrew, what do you think? If not, who do you think you might go to in the Chargers backfield?
If not, I've always liked Justin Jackson. He usually does okay when he gets touches. He's not the Eckler level of skill, but very capable, and 2,000 on DraftKings. I mean, if Eckler's out, Jackson is absolutely locked into every single lineup. He's a lot more expensive on FanDuel at 10,000, so he's fadeable. But again, he would be in my cash lineup at that price. But the one thing I want to add about the position, whoever's out there, is that KC, they give up a lot of receptions to running backs. In the last 4 weeks, they've given up 7, 7, 8, and 9. And we all know that the Chargers like to throw the ball to Austin Eckler. He's very strong as a receiver. He gets a much bigger proportion of his touches from catches than most. And even when they're ahead, they'll throw it to him. That's what happened in Week 3, because the Chargers had the lead and they were throwing it to Eckler. And if they're behind, of course, they're going to throw it to him as well. So I like Eckler to catch a bunch of passes and pay off the price tag. Yeah,
absolutely. I think actually something to add there is, like you said earlier, Slater is going to be out for the Chargers. So you have Trey Pipkins stepping up. And that O-line is just kind of hurt with injuries throughout the season. So I don't think Justin Herbert's going to have a lot of time to throw. So if he does have, he has to quick dump, I think that's absolutely where you look at Austin Eckler for a bunch of catches at the backfield.
Excellent. All right. Well, how about the passing game?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll start with Justin Herbert. He went 26 for 38 with 4 touchdowns. Last time they played, 281 yards. Even last game against Cincinnati, he went 275 for 3 touchdowns. So Justin Herbert really looks sharp. Sophomore QB. He's really good. I will say this. The Chiefs ranked 25th in fantasy points allowed to QBs. However, it's a tale of different halves for this team. The Chiefs ranked 28th in defensive DVOA in weeks 1 through 9. And then since week 10, only the Patriots have a better DVOA. So the Chiefs are second since week 10. I mean, they just have guys healthy again. Charvarius Ward is back. Chris Jones was back for that time stretch, out for this game. Melvin Ingram, trade from the Steelers, and Frank Clark are all healthy. Chris Jones being out affects the pass rush, which is why I still like Herbert. But point being, the Chiefs have just been a more improved defense against the Raiders, Broncos, and the Cowboys. They've kept them all to 9 points in the last 3 games. So they're just looking really good across the board defensively. Like I said, though, with Chris Jones being out and Justin Herbert just playing the way he is, I do like Justin Herbert in this game. He looked really sharp in the last game against the Chiefs in week 3. So with all that being said, I actually think the Chiefs defense has a good chance of containing Herbert. But with a high-scoring game or a game that I just think is going to be close, I think you have to consider Justin Herbert.
Yeah, well said. I mean, 3 straight weeks, like you said, with exactly 9 points allowed, and even going back 5 weeks, they're only averaging 9.6 points allowed per game. But you contrast that with the injuries, and so I do have faith here in Herbert, who's been sharp lately. To really, I do lean him over Mahomes, and he's cheaper on both sites. So he is squarely in play for me.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to look at it too, just with the roster construction. I definitely like a Herbert Eckler kind of match. Like we said, a lot of passes out of the backfield. Austin Eckler had 3 touchdowns. That 3 touchdown game, and they were all in the air. So I definitely think that connection is really strong. From the other pass catchers, you have Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Guyton, and Palmer. Mike Williams, of course, was the storyline in week 3. 2 touchdowns, 120 plus yards. However, since the start of the year, Mike Williams has really dipped from the production that he was putting up. And he didn't match up against Charvarius Ward in that game either. And Ward's going to be back for this one, and he's been playing really well. So I'm a little nervous for Mike Williams in this game. To be honest, he hasn't had a touchdown since that Steelers game, and that was really the last play of the game in the 4th quarter. And before that, he was slipping as well, just getting looks in the red zone. So I don't know exactly what changed. Keenan Allen has passed him, obviously, for targets, which is what we expected anyways, but Mike Williams was just blowing by him at the start of the year. So I think Keenan Allen's a safer play. He went 8 for 50 and a touchdown in week 3 as well. And Keenan Allen, unfortunately, has a matchup against Felton, which isn't great. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I like Keenan Allen as a safe play. I'm not too high on Mike Williams, but both of them combined, I don't know if I'm too overly excited about either.
Yeah, well said. Again, I agree that Allen is the safer play, gets the heavy targets, and I do lean him. I mean, look what Renfro did last week against KC. 13 catches for 117 and a touchdown. So you can beat them there. And Williams, he's just like you said, he's touchdown dependent. That touchdown against the Steelers was a busted coverage. And with the lower target volume, he can have just duds like last week where he was pretty chalky, 6 for 61. We did not put him on our clipboard on DraftKings. We decided to fade that chalk. We went with Jalen Guyton, actually, who was a much better value. But Williams, because he has the great touchdown upside and he can get a couple, he's scary to fade. And he showed against KC that first time around. He's got that size advantage. He obviously knows how to take advantage of it, and Herbert knows how to get it to him. So he's a little tough to fade. He's, similar to Tyreek Hill, guy who can get 2 or 3 touchdowns and, in a heartbeat. So, but I do think Allen is the safer play again.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's hard to fade him completely because of that upside, but definitely not like the favorite play to look. And I actually think with the ownership of people looking at week 3 and be like, wow, look at Mike Williams having a great game. He might go over a little more owned than he should. So that's pretty much where I'm at with the Allens, Williams. But between Guyton and Palmer, both had good games last week. They both scored a touchdown along with Cook. Palmer actually outsnapped Guyton 87% to 59%, which was a little surprising because before that, the 13 weeks prior, when everyone was healthy, Guyton was consistently outsnapping Palmer. So I expect that to be the same in this game. I think you can definitely look at Guyton as a cheap value option at wide receiver. And actually, my favorite value pass catcher in this game is Donald Parham. So you have Jared Cook and Parham as the tight ends. At the start of the year, Cook was playing probably 20% more snaps than Parham, but slowly as the weeks have kind of come, it's converged into last week where Cook played 44% of the snaps, Parham played 41. So it's a lot more even now. Both had 2 receptions. Last week, Cook had 8 yards and a touchdown. Parham had 13 yards and a touchdown. So it's not like a high volume, but from a price perspective, Cook is $7.5K on FanDuel. Parham is $6K on DraftKings. Cook is $5,400 and Parham is $2,400. So if you want to go to the tight end spot, which PFF gives a good, matchup value for the Chargers tight ends, look to the value guy, in my opinion. Lower owned, most likely. Herbert has been going to Parham in important situations on like third downs. It's not just been a dump off play or in garbage time. So I actually think you can look at both, but I prefer Parham for a cheaper option. So I think Guyton and Parham are interesting to look at on the Chargers side.
I mean, Parham, it's a lot easier to get him in as a 6th guy on DraftKings, no doubt about it, because of that 3K savings. And then Guyton, the one thing I want to add there is in that first matchup, he only had 1 targeting against KC, but it was a deep shot to the end zone. And they will take deep shots to him, as evidenced with his line last week, 3 for 87 and a score. So I do like Guyton here as a nice, mid-tier to cheap option to sneak into the lineup. Maybe the GPP. Yeah,
absolutely. We should be thankful we're playing this game in LA, so we don't have to worry about Chiefs Kansas City weather, right?
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Should be nice and pleasant.
Absolutely. So, okay. Anything else to add, or do we talk kickers?
It's kicker time.
Good.
You saw him in person. Well, actually, Hopkins wasn't playing that day for the Chargers, but you saw Butker. These guys, pretty good numbers on both of them. They've only missed 3 field goals each.
Yeah, I mean, Butker's been consistently one of the top kickers. Hopkins has been doing well as well. I guess before I give you my opinion, Andrew, do you think you'll play one of the kickers this week?
My first lineup build on DraftKings, I didn't have enough for either one on my last guy in. They're coming in to play more for me on FanDuel, though. So I could see myself with one of them over there, and I do have a preference.
Okay. I'm in the same boat. I think on DraftKings it's a little tough. On FanDuel, I'm leaning I'm not going to go with a kicker. But if I were to go with one, I think I would go with Butker. I think
Me too.
Good. I think Butker, the Chiefs playing from behind. I don't think they're going to be able to move the ball as easily. But they're still a great offense, so they're going to be able to get into, scoring situations, to kick those field goals. And Butker is just crazy consistent. So that's my thinking there.
Yeah, I just love. I mean, he's had 6 field goals over 50 yards this year. Hopkins only 1. And he's just got a great leg. I mean, he's got great confidence from all those long field goals, and that's what you need on FanDuel. Is a guy who can get a couple of those, an extra point or two, and all of a sudden you're looking at 12 to 15 points, and that can be a game changer with the pricing structure that they always have for kickers, right in that 8,500 to 9,000 range.
Absolutely. Well, good. we'll wrap it up. Tie with a bow. We got the kickers on lock.
There you have it. That covers all the key position groups. Hope everybody's looking forward to an exciting matchup. This is a great matchup of winning teams, AFC West division positioning on the line. So I can't wait to tune in. Omaha Joe, hope you have a lot more fun just relaxing on the couch for this one. You've done your research back in week 3. You can just take it easy this time around.
I almost wore, because it's the AFC West matchup, I almost wore my Broncos jersey for this one.
Yeah, just as a reminder, as your true loyalty.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, great. Well, that'll do it for today. Make sure to check out the rest of the NFL podcast we put out this weekend for week 15 as we try to hammer it all the way through the weekend. Check out the NBA podcast 7 days a week. And good luck on your lineups. So that's it. On behalf of Omaha Joe and the rest of the DFS Coach Talk team, I'm Andrew Hansen. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time as we look to crush it in DFS.